Wow. A lot to talk about. I'm recording this during the halftime of Game 7 of Boston versus Miami. So I don't know when this will be uploaded. Hopefully later tonight. Xfinity race is going on, I think, right now, 9:30. So it's about to start. But that Coke 600, how many cautions? It doesn't say. It's 14 or 15, somewhere around there. Wow. That's what a Coke 600 should be. I mean, that's just what Coke 600s are. That's what they have. The memorable ones at least have always been that. Oh, this guy wants to leave my room, and I'm just happy it ended at night because I was like, because the Coke 600 has to be at night, so the rain delay and everything was tough. But yeah, let's just get right into it. Chase Elliott has to be suspended. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you knew by the title of the video. Let's just get right into it, right? Yeah, that's suspension. It's going to be one race, and that's that. We've seen it with Bubba Wallace against Kyle Larson at Las Vegas. And yeah, it's as simple as that. It's going to be a race suspension. I can understand Elliott's frustration. Same as Bubba Wallace. I mean, it was very similar. You both get put into the wall, but you can't do that. It's a precedent I like. I think everyone, because when Bubba Wallace did it, there was never a penalty for that, right? Like every incident for that, there wasn't really any precedent for it to be suspended a race for right hooking someone into the wall. I mean, you could go back and look at Jeff Gordon in 2012 when he was that a right hook? Yeah, that kind of was, but it was in the middle of a corner, I think. And it was the same thing, like just slower speeds at Phoenix, obviously, but he didn't get suspended for that. And then Matt Kenseth pile drives Joey Logano in a turn one at Martinsville, and he got suspended for that. Both of those incidents a little bit different than the Bubba Wallace incident, because the Bubba Wallace one was literally coming off of a corner at a 1.5-mile track and right hooking someone, specifically in a dog leg, into the wall. And the speeds are too high. You just can't do that. I mean, I like that this is actually, I think, becoming a precedent. Like that's the rule. If you right hook someone intentionally, if you could be proven that it's been intentional, then you have to be suspended for one race. It was very dangerous. Hamlin, I think, ran Elliott into the wall twice. I haven't seen the footage. I saw the last one, obviously, that Elliott retaliated. I didn't see the first one. And then Elliott, in his post-race interview, he says, these cars, once they get in the wall like that, you can't control them. And good PR. Listen, I'm a Jeff Gordon guy. I'm a Hendrick guy, so I gotta support my Hendrick boys. But you gotta be really stupid to believe what Chase Elliott is saying. I was listening to a podcast earlier, and the guy was a former detective. Actually, he worked in the police force, and he was talking about how the people that they would bring in for questioning, most of the time were guilty, but they would just lie. And so after a while, you get used to it, of being able to tell when someone lies, because they all lie. And what Chase Elliott was doing was, I don't know if you want to call it lying, but it was avoiding the truth, which I guess is kind of lying. He just basically said, it gets out of control. He was guilty. He had that look on his face as well. He tried playing it off, but and then Denny Hamlin on Twitter posts the SMT data. Now, I don't know if you're allowed to do that. I don't know if he's going to get in trouble for that or whatever, but all the teams, all the drivers, everyone has access to that SMT data. So leaking it or posting it, I don't know. And he did it literally while the race was going on. And it shows how Elliott turns hard left. The reason why it looks guilty is because obviously Elliott hit the wall and he was going straight for a little bit. Very little. It was maybe like 0.1 or 2 of a second, but the car looks stable. And then to have a sharp turn on the data like that, it's pretty clear to me. NASCAR is going to have to make the call, but it is pretty clear to me that he's guilty, and he will be suspended for next week. And if he's not, then NASCAR has some serious answers to provide, because the only reason he's not guilty and he's not suspended is if they can't prove it. But with the data and everything, I feel like it's hard. Like, what's your excuse? My steering broke? Like, I just don't buy that. No one's like, you hit the wall like that and your steering doesn't just lock up left like that. Yeah, that doesn't happen. So they might also look at his steering input after the crash. So obviously, Elliott goes into the wall like kind of with Hamlin once he right rear hooks him, and they're going to look at the data after the crash to see what the steering input was like as well, in order to make their decision. But in my opinion, this is not a debate. It really is not. Chase Elliott right rear hooked Denny Hamlin into the wall. And no matter, if you don't like being put into the wall, I get it. And if you feel like you've been done dirty, I get it. But you can't do that. That's the precedent that's been set. You cannot right rear hook someone at high speeds. 1.5 miles, 2 miles. I mean, you see it. I mean, sometimes at short tracks maybe, but for example, Martinsville, they don't even get to the wall because you guys are going so slow. At these speeds, you can't do that, especially in a dog leg as well. You can't do that. You cannot do that. It was a violent hit. It was kind of the main story of the race because that's obviously the most popular driver. Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, they've had history before. I think Elliott's mostly frustrated due to his performances. He's been really bad since he's come back from his injury. Point blank, he's been bad. I don't really care what anyone else says. He's been bad. Like, he's not qualified well. He's not ran well. He's been bad. I think that's just frustration, and he lost his cool in an instant moment. So that's what happened. I mean, you saw Denny Hamlin shaking his head immediately after his head got shook for him. He was shaking his head once he came to a stop. It was pretty. You kind of know when someone intentionally hooks you. So, yeah, that was pretty bad. There was also tempers flaring under the red flag. Eric Almirola and Bubba Wallace apparently. And after the race, Eric said that Bubba Wallace was cussing him out or something and giving him the middle finger or something. And when I first saw the footage and I saw Eric Almirola shove Bubba Wallace, and Bubba kind of just like didn't really do anything. He was just like talking to him. I was like, I didn't know Eric had that dog in him. I thought Eric was always a puppy. Like, genuinely, I thought Eric was always a puppy. Just minded his own business. He didn't got that dog in him. I didn't think he did. I mean, some drivers have that dog in him. But Eric Almirola, no, I didn't think he had that dog in him. I saw that. I was like, wait a minute. He might have that dog in him. And then I heard the explanations, and you're getting mad because someone's cussing you out? Really? My initial take of Eric Almirola being a puppy is still correct. He's still a puppy. Yeah, he don't got that dog in him. He's a lover, not a fighter. Okay, that's Eric Almirola. Hey, it's good to be like that. I would classify myself as a lover, but not a fighter either. I don't know if I have that dog in me. I don't know. Do I have that dog in me? That is for you guys to decide. But I know Eric Almirola does not got that dog in him. You don't got it. And then the actual racing was, there was 14 or 15 or 16, however many cautions there were, wrecks, crashes, Jimmy Johnson losing it 3 times. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, buddy. I love you, obviously. Hendrick legend, NASCAR legend. Probably, if we want to be fair and objective, the greatest of all time with his numbers. But subjectively, Jeff Gordon's the greatest of all time. You guys can all suck it. Okay, I don't care. But, yeah, the IndyCar stint, this stint in NASCAR doing a few races, sometimes you just, it's just those last 3 years at Hendrick, it was like pew, and it's just we all get old, man. You're an owner now. It's okay. Hang up the helmet. Go on some nice long peaceful bike rides for 30 miles. Don't think the racing anymore is going. It's just, I don't know. Just my. But if you want to have fun, hey, you own the team. You could drive as long as you want. You could be like Derek Cope or Morgan Shepherd and drive till you're 65 if you want. So you do you. William Byron's first pit stall was a major story. I mean, I've never seen. I don't know. Can you guys answer this one for me? Do you think the faster pit times are contributing to the number one pit stall being more important? The reason I say that is because in a 10-second stop, you would assume, even with not 5 lug nuts, it's a little bit harder to make a mistake. I feel like everyone's kind of going the same speed, and you could go really fast or you could make a big mistake, but I feel like everyone's kind of going the same speed. And if everyone's going the same speed, that first pit stall means even more because there's less variables, or there's less variables in the pit stop. So the one variable of where your pit box is actually becomes more important. And a lot of drivers are talking about, how the steering rack is more difficult and it's harder to turn the car out of the stall. And so a lot of guys were complaining, including, Keselowski, Byron. There were a lot of other guys on pit road that were complaining with each other that they couldn't get out of their stalls. Happened to Bubba Wallace, I think. He fell back to 19th on one restart because he couldn't get out of his stall either because he was too far forward and he couldn't turn out. So having that number one pit stall, literally the line being 3 feet away from you. I mean, William Byron, his pit crew was fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but that first pit stall was ridiculous, man. I mean, he literally, if he was in the top 4, he was going to come out first. It was insane. And so that's what kept him up there. He never really had the fastest car all day long. He had the clean air all day long. Once he got back in a second, third, and fourth, you kind of saw he was struggling a little bit. But when he had, I mean, every restart, man, the guy would be in the front because this guy's the pit stall meant so much. And that just shows, the consistency he showed early on in the season with the rain delays and stuff, canceling qualifying. There you go. You get the benefits of the first pit stall, and that literally gave, I mean, I want to know the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that gave him around 25 spots on pit road. Like, genuinely, it was 3 or 4 every time down pit lane. And in a 600-mile race, dude, this guy, I mean, my God, they gained so many spots on pit road that they would lose on the track and then get back on it. Martin Truex Jr. had a really good run as well. The Toyotas are really, really strong, but I think the main talking point was Ford. You guys know how I talked about this. Ford have been struggling. I expect SHR to struggle a little bit because that's just kind of what they've been doing the last 2 or 3 years, but I didn't expect Penske to struggle as much, and they have been really, really struggling this season. So, yes, Joe Logano's won the odd race, but, Cindric has been awful, and Blaney has been, just poor, but I don't really think it's their fault. I think Logano would be running up front all the time if he had a fast car, and so would Blaney, and Cindric wouldn't be running in 20th. He would be running in 10th or 5th. But those cars just they have not been good. It's just that simple. They have not been good. And so to see Ryan Blaney as strong as he was all day long, Logano wasn't as strong. Cindric wrecked later on, but the SHR cars, Harvick maybe yes, but then he crashed out. But you kind of expect Harvick out of all the SHR cars to be the strongest. But he's still not at that race-winning pace. He's like at that 5th place pace, but he's not at that race-winning pace. And, so it was nice to see Blaney just strong all day long. And he would eventually, after all the cautions and all the restarts, he would get into the lead, pull away, and win. If you've seen my tweet on Twitter, he got that aura, man. He got that aura. Just go on Twitter, see the tweet. Enough has to be said. You don't got to ask any questions, okay? You don't got to ask any questions. All right. He got that aura. Okay. And I think the winless streak, I said this, I think, in an earlier race review, that I thought the criticism of Ryan Blaney was unfair. I think it was Kyle Petty that did it and basically said he's a glorified Casey Kane, which also I think is disrespectful to Casey Kane a little bit. But, I can understand the comparison. I mean, both are very sexy. Like, I get it. They both got that aura. I mean, maybe that's where Kyle Petty got the comparison. But, last season he had a lot of fast cars. He led a lot of laps. Yes, did he make some mistakes here and there? Yes, but I also think his team made mistakes. If you remember last season, his team made a lot of mistakes early on that cost Ryan Blaney the ability to be in position to win. And then this season, he just hasn't had the car. Even the second half of last season, they didn't really have the car. So, yes, should you win more than, once in 59 races, or at least once in 59? Yeah. Someone as Ryan Blaney's, abilities, yes. But I don't think it was all his fault. I thought the slump was a little bit over-exaggerated. I just thought, Penske are struggling. It is what it is. He's been close at some plate races, wasn't able to get it done. He was really fast early last season, and a lot of opportunities didn't go his way. Listen, all I'm saying is, if Ryan Blaney was at JGR, or Ryan Blaney was at Chevy and Hendrick right now, because Penske's kind of struggling a little bit, if you put him in one of those rides, I think he's running top 5 week in and week out. It's like, if you replace Ryan Blaney with, I'm just going to say, because Truex is getting older, if you replace Ryan Blaney with Martin Truex Jr., and you see Truex has been having faster cars this season, and he broke his winless streak as well, I think Ryan Blaney has already won maybe 1 or 2 races, and he's running top 5 week in, week out. But the fact of the matter is, Ford just have not been competitive, and Penske have not really been competitive this season. And listen, as much as we want to talk about drivers being great, you need the car. As much as you want to talk about Kyle Larson's the greatest thing since Jeff Gordon, you have to have the car. Like, he drives for Hendrick Motorsports. Like, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. can't take that 47 and win 5 races in a season. It's not possible. Zane Smith got a top 10 in the 38. Zane Smith's not going to take that car and lead 150 laps. You still need to have the team and the car behind you. And I think Ryan Blaney's been treated a little bit harshly. I stick by that, and hopefully he could get a little bit more respect. And you saw how he lost confidence. That's another thing. You see it in all sports. When you lose confidence, that really hurts. I think you've seen it with Daniel Ricciardo as well in Formula One. You lose confidence. You're a happy person. You have a personality. Everyone loves you, but you struggle and you start doubting yourself. And Blaney's post-race victory lane thing, he got emotional. He was doubting himself. That's not hard to see, and it's not, you don't have to be afraid to admit it. He was doubting himself. He lost confidence, and when you lose that, it's so incredibly hard to get back, and that affects how you drive in the car. So I just hope this pushes him on from here, because I think Blaney's an incredible talent, but Penske need to give him better race cars. It's that simple. If they give Ryan Blaney the best cars, I think him and Logano can definitely win a lot of races. Now, Austin Cindric, in my opinion, is a different story. I don't think he really, in my opinion, has that talent, but those two, and Blaney and Logano, yeah, I think they do. So we'll see how it goes. I'll post the results here. You see the top 10: Blaney, Byron, Truex, Wallace, Reddick, Busch, Stenhouse, Buescher, Austin Dillon, and Zane Smith in the top 10, with Harvick, Bowman, Preece, Allmendinger, Haley, Yaley, I don't know why that makes me laugh. Haley, Yaley, LaJoy, Burton, Keselowski, and Chase Briscoe round out the top 20, with Logano, Chastain, Suarez, Bell, Almirola, Gibbs, Dillon, McDowell, McLeod, and Larson round out the top 30. And you can see a lot of those guys got in wrecks. I know I didn't talk about it, but Larson spun. Gibbs got caught up in that crap. There was a big wreck, obviously, when Larson spun. He got caught up in that. Bell had a really horrendous day, fast early on, but then spun into the infield, never was able to recover, got caught up in all the accidents as well later. Chastain really struggled as well, and so did Joey Logano. And then, the final results have Elliott and Denny Hamlin down there as well. Cindric in 31st, he hit the inside wall really hard as well. There was a lot of spins, basically. It was a lot of the cars were loose. Not loose, but they just snap on you, and that was a thing about Charlotte in 2005. And then with the next gen car, it's been like that. There's been a lot of crashes at Charlotte just because it's I guess it's tough. There's a fast racetrack, not a lot of grip. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna go watch the second half of the game 7. So I'll see you guys later. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you're not already. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.